The soft morning light slowly filled the bedroom of the tiny family space home. Their home was special because it floated in space, attached to New Sol Station, which orbited around Earth's moon. The light wasn't from the real sun. It came from clever lights in their ceiling that worked just like Earth's sunrise to help everyone wake up naturally. Hanul opened her eyes first. She was the mother of the family and very good at growing plants in space. She loved watching the fake sunrise paint warm colors on her bedroom walls. The walls could change color, and right now they were showing soft oranges and pinks, just like a sunrise on Earth. Next to her, her husband Jeho was still sleeping peacefully. He worked hard fixing things on the space station, but today was Saturday, a day for family time. Hanul smiled as she heard the first quiet sounds coming from their twins' bedroom next door. The twins, Mi-rae and Du-yun, were 7 years old. They had been born on the space station, but they knew all about Earth from their parents' stories and the many videos they watched in school. Their room had a big window that looked out into space, and they loved watching Earth slowly spin below them, looking like a beautiful blue and white marble. "Good morning, home," Hanul said softly. The house computer responded by gently raising the lights a little more. "What's the Earth time today?" "Good morning, Hanul," the computer answered in a warm voice. "It is 7 a.m. Earth Standard Time, Saturday. The weather systems in your home are working perfectly. Your garden's oxygen levels are at 100%. Would you like me to start brewing coffee?" "Yes, please," Hanul replied. She loved how their home could do so many things to help them. It was like having a friendly helper who was always there. In the kitchen pod, machines quietly began preparing breakfast. The coffee maker hummed softly, and the food printer started working on fresh bread. These machines were very different from the ones Hanul's grandmother used on Earth, but they made food that tasted just as good. Hanul walked to the twins' room and peeked inside. Mi-rae was already awake, looking out their big window at the stars. Du-yun was just starting to stir, hugging his favorite toy, a soft robot puppy that could play with him and never needed to be fed. "Look, Mom," Mi-rae whispered excitedly, pointing out the window. "I can see grandmother's city today." Sure enough, Seoul was visible on Earth's surface, a tiny spot on the blue planet below them. The smell of coffee and fresh bread began to fill their home. Jeho walked into the kitchen, his hair messy from sleep, but a big smile on his face. "Something smells wonderful," he said, giving Hanul a gentle hug. The twins came running out of their room, both talking at once about their plans for the day. Their home might be in space, but it felt just as cozy as any home on Earth. The walls adjusted their colors to a warm morning yellow, and soft music began to play, traditional Korean songs that reminded them of their heritage. "Can we help in the garden today?" Du-yun asked, his eyes bright with excitement. He loved watching the plants grow in their special space containers. "Of course," Hanul answered, setting out breakfast plates. The food printer had made them each a perfect breakfast: rice, soup, and eggs that looked and tasted just like the ones made on Earth. Mi-rae touched one of the walls, and it changed to show a view of Earth's sky, complete with fluffy clouds. Even though they lived in space, their home could look and feel however they wanted it to. As the family sat down to eat breakfast together, they talked about their plans for the weekend. Jeho had a special surprise project for them all, and grandmother Sunhee might visit using the new teleporter. The twins could hardly contain their excitement. Outside their window, Earth continued its slow, graceful spin. Inside, the tiny family space home was filled with warmth, love, and the promise of a wonderful weekend together. They might live far above Earth, but they had everything they needed right here: each other, their cozy home, and endless possibilities for adventure. After breakfast, Hanul took the twins to her special place on the space station, the garden pod. The garden was not like regular gardens on Earth. It was a large round room with glass walls that showed the stars outside. Inside, Rows and rows of plants grew in special containers that spun slowly to help them grow properly without Earth's gravity. Today is a very special day, Newell told Myray and Du Yun as they entered the garden. The robot bees are going to help our new flowers bloom. The children's eyes grew wide with wonder. The robot bees were tiny machines that looked just like real bees, but they sparkled like tiny stars. They were smaller than Newell's thumb and helped the plants grow by carrying pollen from flower to flower, just like real bees did on Earth. Can we watch them work? Myray asked, pressing her nose against one of the clear plant containers. Inside, pink and purple flowers waited to be pollinated. Even better, Newell smiled. You can help me release them. She walked to a small control panel and pressed a few buttons. A drawer slid open, revealing a container of sleeping robot bees. Du Yun clapped his hands with excitement. Will they sting us like real bees? No, Newell laughed. These bees are very gentle. They only care about helping our flowers grow. Watch this. She pressed another button, and soft purple lights came on above the plants. These lights help the bees see which flowers need their help. The robot bees slowly woke up, their tiny wings beginning to hum. They rose into the air like a group of dancing stars. Under the purple lights, their metal bodies glowed beautifully. Myray and Du Yun watched in amazement as the bees began their work. Each bee flew carefully from flower to flower, landing as gently as a falling snowflake. When they touched a flower, tiny lights on their bodies would blink to show they were collecting or dropping off pollen. Look at all our plants, Newell said proudly, walking with the children through the garden. These tomatoes will be ready next week, and here are the strawberries your father loves so much. The garden was full of different plants. Some were for food, like vegetables and fruits. Others made medicine for the space station's hospital. There were also beautiful flowers that made the air fresh and clean. How do the plants know how to grow in space? Du Yun asked, watching a robot bee visit a bright yellow flower. They're special plants, Newell explained. Some smart scientists help them learn to grow without Earth's gravity, and our spinning containers trick them into thinking they're on Earth. Myray pointed to a new section of the garden. What are those plants, Mom? Those are very special, Newell smiled. They're Korean herbs that grandmother Sunhee gave me. We're growing them here so we can make traditional tea, just like she does on Earth. The children watched as more robot bees flew to the herb plants. The bees' wings made a soft humming sound that filled the garden with peaceful music. Combined with the gentle spinning of the plant containers and the twinkling of stars outside, it made the garden feel magical. Can we come back tomorrow to see if any new flowers have grown? Myray asked hopefully. Of course, Newell said. The garden is always changing. That's what makes it so special. Just like on Earth, our plants are always growing, always making new surprises for us. As they finished their garden tour, the robot bees were still hard at work, their tiny lights blinking like stars among the flowers. Through the glass walls, Earth shone brightly, reminding them that even in space, they could keep a piece of nature with them. The garden was more than just a place for growing food and flowers. It was a little piece of Earth in space, where the tiny family could remember their home planet while making their new home among the stars just as beautiful. When the family returned home from the garden, Jai-ho was waiting with a big smile. He had laid out several flat packages in their living room, each one about the size of a large book. Today, we're going to build something very special, Jai-ho announced. We're making a traditional Korean tea room, but with a space station twist. The twins looked at the packages with curiosity. The packages were made of a special material that changed colors when touched, shifting from silver to soft green under their fingers. These are smart panels, Jai-ho explained, opening the first package. They can become any material we want: wood, paper, or even the special screens we use for our windows. Newell helped Jai-ho clear the living room space. Their home computer moved the furniture to other rooms, sliding everything smoothly along hidden tracks in the floor. Soon, they had an empty space ready for their project. "First, we need to make the floor," Jaiho said. He took out the first smart panel and placed it on the ground. When he touched it, the panel transformed to look exactly like traditional wooden flooring. It even felt warm and grainy like real wood when the children touched it. "Can I help?" Do-Yun asked excitedly. Jiho showed him how to place the panels next to each other. When they touched, they connected smoothly, making a perfect floor that looked just like the tea rooms Do-Yun had seen in pictures of Earth. May-Ray worked with Hae-Nul on the walls. The smart panels for the walls were lighter and changed into what looked like traditional paper screens. But these were special. They could become clear like windows whenever the family wanted to see the stars outside. "Watch this," Jaiho said, touching one of the wall panels. The surface rippled and became a beautiful scene of mountains and trees, just like the views from tea rooms on Earth. "We can change the view whenever we want." As they worked together, Jiho told stories about the tea rooms he remembered from his childhood on Earth. "Your great-grandfather built tea rooms," he told the twins. "He used real wood and paper. He would have loved to see how we're building one in space." The smart panels were easy to work with. When someone made a mistake, they could simply touch the panel twice, and it would reset, ready to be placed again. The children especially loved this feature, experimenting with different positions until everything was perfect. After 2 hours of work, the basic room was finished. The floor looked and felt like smooth wood. The walls showed peaceful nature scenes that changed slowly, like real views through windows. Jiho had even created a small alcove where they could display flowers from Hae-Nul's garden. "Now for the best part," Hae-Nul said. She brought out soft cushions for sitting and a low table that their home computer had made specially for the tea room. The table was made from the same smart material as the walls and floor, but it looked like beautiful old wood with grain patterns that moved slightly when you watched carefully. "It's like magic," May-Ray whispered, touching one of the walls. The scene changed to show a gentle rainfall, but no sound came yet. Jiho pressed a small panel near the door, and soft rain sounds filled the room, making everything feel calm and peaceful. "This is our own special place," Jiho said proudly. "A piece of Earth's tradition, made new for our life in space. We can have tea here just like our ancestors did, but we can also watch the stars and Earth while we do it." The family sat together in their new tea room, enjoying how the space felt both old and new at the same time. Through one wall that Jiho had made transparent, they could see Earth floating in the distance, while the other walls showed scenes of Korean mountains and forests. It was a perfect blend of their past and their future, created by their family working together. The family was still admiring their new tea room when a gentle chime sounded through their home. The house computer spoke in its warm voice. "Excuse me, but there is an incoming teleport request from Earth. It appears to be from Grandmother Sunhee." May-Ray and Do-Yun jumped up with excitement. They had never seen anyone use the new quantum teleporter before. The teleporter was a new way to travel between Earth and the space station, but not many people had tried it yet. "Quick, children," Hae-Nul said, smoothing their clothes. "Let's go to the arrival room to meet Grandmother." The arrival room was a special place in their home where people could appear from Earth. It had soft blue lights and smooth white walls to help make sure everyone arrived safely. The family gathered in the arrival room. Jiho pressed a button on the wall panel, accepting the teleport request. A gentle humming filled the room, and the blue lights grew brighter. In the center of the room, tiny sparkles of light began to appear, like stars being born. "Watch closely," Jiho told the twins. "This is very special." The sparkles of light grew bigger and brighter, swirling together like a small galaxy. Then suddenly, Grandmother Sunhee appeared, standing right there in their home. She looked exactly like she did on Earth, wearing her favorite blue hanbok and carrying a large wooden box. "Grandmother!" the twins shouted, running to hug her. Sunhee laughed. holding them close. She didn't seem dizzy or tired from the teleport at all. "My dear ones," she said warmly, "what an amazing way to travel. One moment I was in my house in Seoul, and the next moment, here I am with all of you among the stars." Hanul and Jiho came forward to greet her too. "Mother, we weren't expecting you today," Hanul said happily. "What a wonderful surprise." Sunhee held up the wooden box she had brought. "I heard from the house computer that you were building a tea room today. I couldn't miss that. And I brought something special, rice cakes made with rice from my own garden on Earth." The family led grandmother Sunhee to their new tea room. Her eyes grew wide with wonder when she saw what they had built. "It's beautiful," she said, touching the walls that showed scenes of Korean mountains. "It looks just like the tea room in my childhood home, but even more magical." Sunhee opened her wooden box and arranged the rice cakes on the smart material table. The cakes were shaped like flowers and painted with natural food colors, pink like cherry blossoms, green like spring leaves, and white like snow. They looked beautiful against the table's moving wood patterns. "I made these this morning in my kitchen on Earth," Sunhee explained. "I never dreamed I would be sharing them with you in space just a few hours later. What an amazing time we live in." The house computer dimmed the lights slightly and adjusted the wall scenes to show a gentle sunset over mountains. Everyone sat on the cushions around the table, ready to share the treats from Earth. "Grandmother," Mayray asked, "will you tell us about the tea room you had when you were little? Was it like this one?" Sunhee smiled, picking up one of the pink rice cakes. "My dear, let me tell you about the tea rooms of Earth, and then you can tell me about all the wonderful things you've added to make this one special for your home in space." As they sat together in their new tea room, eating rice cakes made on Earth while floating among the stars, the tiny family felt truly blessed. They had the best of both worlds, the beautiful traditions of their past and the amazing possibilities of their future, all wrapped up in the love of family. After enjoying grandmother Sunhee's rice cakes, Jaho had another surprise for the family. He walked to the control panel of their new tea room and pressed several buttons. The room began to change around them in amazing ways. The wooden floor transformed into what looked and felt like soft, green grass. When Mireille touched it, she could feel each blade of grass moving under her fingers. The walls changed too, becoming a view of a beautiful spring day. Above them, the ceiling turned into a bright blue sky with perfect white clouds floating by. "Now watch this," Jaho said with a smile. He made one more adjustment, and pink cherry blossom petals began to float through the air. They weren't real petals, but holograms, special light pictures that looked real. When the petals touched the grass, they disappeared like magic. "It's just like the park near my house on Earth," grandmother Sunhee exclaimed. She reached out to touch one of the floating petals, and even though it wasn't real, the room made her finger tingle slightly where the petal would have landed. Hanul brought out a traditional Korean picnic blanket and spread it on the hologram grass. The house computer helped by creating soft cushions of air under the blanket, making it feel like they were sitting on real ground. "Look through the window," Du Yun said, pointing to one wall that Jaiho had kept clear. Through it, they could see Earth spinning slowly in space. It was a strange and wonderful sight, having a picnic in what looked like an Earth park while actually floating among the stars. The house computer played gentle sounds to match their surroundings, a soft breeze moving through trees, birds singing quietly, and the distant happy sounds of people enjoying a park day. The sounds mixed perfectly with the real quiet humming of their space station home. Grandmother Sunhee arranged more treats on the picnic blanket. Along with her rice cakes, she had brought dried persimmons, sweet Korean crackers, and special tea from her garden. Haenul added fresh strawberries from her space garden, and Jiho brought out cups of cold barley tea. "When I was young," grandmother began, pouring tea for everyone, "we would have picnics just like this under real cherry trees. But we never imagined we could have one while looking at Earth from space." The twins sat close to their grandmother, enjoying their snacks and watching the hologram petals fall. Sometimes, real lights from passing ships would shine through the window, making the petals glow in different colors. "Tell us more about Earth picnics," grandmother May Ray asked, biting into a sweet persimmon. Sun Hee told them stories about spring festivals and family gatherings in Korea. As she talked, Jae-ho adjusted the room's holograms to match her stories. When she spoke about lantern festivals, tiny lights appeared floating among the cherry blossoms. When she mentioned evening parties, the ceiling slowly changed to show a sunset. The family spent hours in their special picnic space, sharing food and stories. The room kept changing around them, showing sunny afternoon light, then golden evening colors, and finally a warm dusk with fireflies twinkling among the trees. Through it all, Earth kept turning slowly in their window. Hey Newell pointed out Seoul as it came into view, and grandmother Sun Hee showed the children where her house would be. It was wonderful to be so far from Earth but still feel so connected to it through their family's memories and stories. After their wonderful picnic, May Ray and Do Yun had a special request. They wanted to show grandmother Sun Hee the station's new recreation room, where people could float in zero gravity. This special room was designed to be safe and fun for families, with gentle controls that made floating feel like swimming in air. "Are you certain it is safe?" grandmother Sun Hee asked, looking a bit nervous. She had never experienced zero gravity before. Jae-ho nodded with assurance. "The room has special safety fields that keep everyone from moving too fast or bumping into things. It is as safe as sitting in a chair." The family walked together to the recreation room. The halls of the space station were quiet during weekend afternoons, and their footsteps made soft echoing sounds. When they reached the room, Hey Newell pressed her hand to the door panel, and it slid open smoothly. Inside, the recreation room looked magical. The walls showed moving star patterns, and soft blue lights created a peaceful atmosphere. In the center of the room was a large space where the gravity could be turned off. Around the edges were comfortable seats where people could rest. "First, we need to put on safety suits," Hey Newell explained to grandmother Sun Hee. The suits were light and comfortable, made from special material that helped people move easily in zero gravity. They were silver in color and had small lights that glowed softly in different colors. Once everyone was dressed in their suits, Jae-ho went to the control panel. "We will start very slowly," he said. "The room will reduce gravity bit by bit, so it feels natural." As the gravity began to decrease, the family felt themselves becoming lighter. First, it felt like standing in a pool of warm water. Then, slowly, their feet began to lift from the floor. Grandmother Sun Hee held tight to Hey Newell's hand, but she was smiling with wonder. "Look at this, grandmother," Do Yun called out. He was already floating near the ceiling, making slow swimming motions with his arms. May Ray joined him, and they looked like two bright stars dancing in space. The room's computer played soft music that matched their movements. When someone moved quickly, the music became more lively. When they floated quietly, the music became gentle and calm. "Now let me show you something beautiful," grandmother Sun Hee said, surprising everyone. She had quickly learned how to move in zero gravity, and now she raised her hands gracefully. Her movements reminded the family of traditional Korean dance, but in space, it looked even more elegant. The children tried to copy their grandmother's movements. Soon, all 5 family members were dancing together in the air, their safety suits glowing like stars. The room's computer adjusted the lighting to match their dance, creating patterns of light that followed their movements. In space, everyone can dance like a butterfly. Grandmother Sun Hee laughed, spinning slowly. Her silver hair floated around her face like a cloud, and her eyes sparkled with joy. Jae-ho showed them how to play simple games in zero gravity. They formed a circle, holding hands, and spun together very slowly. The room's safety fields kept them from spinning too fast, making it feel like a gentle carousel ride among the stars. The family spent a peaceful hour floating together, sometimes just watching Earth through the room's large window, other times playing quiet games or trying new ways to move through the air. It was different from any game or dance they could do on Earth, but it still brought them together as a family. When it was time to leave, Jeho slowly increased the gravity until their feet touched the floor again. Everyone felt a little dizzy, but they were all smiling. Even Grandmother Sunhee, who had been nervous at first, said it was one of the most wonderful experiences of her life. As evening approached on the space station, the tiny family returned to their new tea room. The house computer had adjusted everything perfectly for nighttime. The walls now showed a peaceful sunset over mountains, and small lights that looked like stars began to appear in the ceiling. Hanul brought out their special tea set. It was made from the same smart material as the tea room, but it looked like beautiful old pottery. When touched, each cup felt warm and smooth, just like traditional teacups from Earth. "Now I will show you how to make tea the proper way," Grandmother Sunhee said. She sat gracefully on a cushion at the low table. The twins sat close to her, eager to learn. Even though they lived in space, their grandmother wanted them to know about their family's traditions. First, Grandmother showed them how to warm the teapot and cups with hot water. The house computer had made the water exactly the right temperature. As she poured the warming water, the steam rose in delicate patterns that caught the room's soft evening light. "Watch carefully," she told Myray and Du-Yun. "Making tea is like a peaceful dance. Every movement has meaning." She emptied the warming water and began to measure the tea leaves. These were special leaves from Hanul's space garden, grown from seeds that Grandmother had brought from Earth. The room filled with wonderful smells as Grandmother Sunhee added hot water to the tea leaves. The walls of the tea room responded to the steam, creating gentle ripples in the sunset scene, as if a warm breeze was moving through the mountains. In the old days, Grandmother explained while they waited for the tea to steep, people would gather like this every evening. It was a time to relax, to talk about their day, and to enjoy being together. Jeho adjusted the room's environmental controls to create a soft breeze that carried the smell of the tea around them. It also brought sweet scents from Hanul's garden, making it feel like they were sitting in a garden on Earth at sunset. When the tea was ready, Grandmother Sunhee showed the children how to pour it properly. "Always serve others before yourself," she said, carefully filling each cup. "And notice how the tea looks different in each cup, like tiny sunsets in pottery pools." The family sat quietly for a moment, enjoying the warmth of their cups and the beautiful colors in the room. Through one clear wall, they could see Earth entering its night side, with tiny lights from cities becoming visible on its surface. "Even though we live among the stars," Hanul said softly, "we keep the best parts of Earth with us. Our traditions, our family, our memories. They all travel with us wherever we go." The smart walls of the tea room began to show gentle scenes of nighttime in Korea. Fireflies dancing over quiet gardens, lanterns glowing in temple courtyards, and the moon rising over peaceful mountains. The scenes changed slowly, like memories flowing one into another. As they enjoyed their tea, each person shared something good about their day. Mireille talked about the robot bees in the garden. Du-Yun described his zero-gravity dance, and the adults shared their joy at being together as a family. The evening passed peacefully in their new tea room, with the soft sounds of cups being lifted and set down, quiet conversation, and gentle laughter. Outside their window, stars twinkled between them and Earth, but inside, they had created a perfect piece of home. As the space station's day cycle came to an end, the tiny family's home prepared for nighttime. The lights dimmed slowly, creating a soft, gentle glow throughout their living space. The house computer adjusted the temperature to be perfect for sleeping, just like a cool evening breeze on Earth. Grandmother Sunhee gathered the children in the tea room for one last activity before bed. The room's walls now showed a beautiful night sky, filled with stars that twinkled softly. The floor cushions had become extra soft, perfect for sitting comfortably while listening to stories. "When I was a little girl," Grandmother began, her voice gentle and warm, "my grandmother would tell me stories about the stars. Even though we live among them now, The old stories are still important. Mei Ray and Du Yun snuggled close to their grandmother, ready to listen. Hanul and Jiho sat nearby, enjoying this peaceful moment. Through the tea room's window, they could see Earth now mostly in darkness, with city lights creating beautiful patterns on its surface. It looked like a giant dark globe decorated with tiny golden threads. Grandmother Sunny told stories about the stars and constellations as seen from Korea. She pointed out different star patterns through their window, explaining how these same stars had guided their ancestors for thousands of years. The house computer helped by creating small, glowing markers around each constellation she mentioned. "See that bright star?" she said, pointing. "In our old stories, it was a princess who lived in the sky. And those 3 stars in a row were 3 brothers who built a bridge of light." As she spoke, the room's walls showed gentle animations of the stories, like shadow puppets made of starlight. The children's eyes grew heavy as they listened to their grandmother's stories. The soft sound of her voice, mixed with the quiet humming of their space station home, created a perfect lullaby. Even the adults felt peaceful and sleepy. When it was time for bed, the family walked together to the children's room. Their bedroom window showed a clear view of space, and now they could recognize some of the constellations grandmother had taught them about. "Good night, my dear ones," Grandmother Sunny said, hugging each child. "Tomorrow I will return to Earth, but remember that we are all under the same stars, whether we are in space or on our home planet." The children's beds were cozy and warm, designed to feel like being gently held even in the lighter gravity of the space station. Above their beds, the ceiling showed a slowly moving star pattern, like a quiet space dance. "Thank you for coming to visit us, Grandmother," Mei Ray said sleepily. Du Yun was already drifting off to sleep, smiling as he dreamed about their wonderful day. After the children were asleep, the adults sat quietly in the living room. The house computer had adjusted the lighting to its lowest setting, creating a peaceful atmosphere. Earth continued its slow spin outside their windows, a constant reminder of home. "What a wonderful day," Grandmother Sunny said softly. "To think that we can live among the stars, but still keep our traditions, our family bonds, and our stories alive. It's more beautiful than I ever imagined." Hanul and Jiho agreed. Their space station home was far from Earth, but today had shown them that distance didn't matter when it came to family love and traditions. They had created something special here, a perfect blend of their past and their future, of Earth's wisdom and space's wonders. As the station's night cycle continued, the tiny family's home was filled with peace and contentment. The quiet hum of space life mixed with gentle dreams of cherry blossoms, floating dances, and stories told under starlight, creating a perfect end to their wonderful family weekend.